"40 miles northwest of Washington, D.C. is rural Washington County, Maryland. Here sits the township of Sharpsburg. It lies snugly between the Potomac River and the Antietam Creek. And on this spot, in September of 1862, a great battle of the American Civil War was fought. The story of this battle begins over 300 million years ago, when a great tectonic upheaval gave birth to the Appalachian Range. Its mountains created barriers in the land and a natural corridor from south to north. As the millennia passed by, erosion shaped this ground into the wildly undulating contours you see today. It also exposed rugged limestone outcroppings all over the area. Several rivers, including the Antietam Creek, meandered down this valley, carving their own unique signature on the landscape. Approximately 16,000 years ago, the first humans appeared in North America. Some of these people became the Algonquin family of Native American tribes. And some of these tribes settled in the valley. For centuries, these indigenous people were the sole occupants of this future battlefield. Their artifacts can still be found in local caves and newly plowed fields. The first white men appeared in the area in 1735, and the town of Sharpsburg was founded in 1763. These settlers were English and German immigrants mostly. They found this fertile valley was ideal for raising livestock and crops, and the surrounding rivers provided an abundant source of natural power. At about this same time, a family by the name of Miller settled just north of Sharpsburg and built a farmstead. David R. Miller would own the family farm by the middle of the 19th century, and in this 30-acre field he would yearly grow a stand of fine corn. In 1851, another local farmer, Samuel Mumma, donated a portion of his land for a new church on this site. German Baptists here erected their simple place of worship. They were called the Dunkards because of their tendency to completely immerse their parishioners in water during baptisms. The Dunkards were pacifists who built their churches with no steeple because they were thought to be too ostentatious. Year after year, the local farmers used this road as a shortcut to get their corn and wheat to the grist mill on the Antietam Creek. Over time, because of these heavy wagons, the surface of the lane eroded in many places several feet below ground level. In 1824, the county leaders commissioned 4 triple arch stone bridges built to ease travel over the Antietam. The Rohrbach Bridge, named for a nearby farm, connected Sharpsburg with several towns to the southeast. And so it would be that for decades, this quiet pastoral land saw nothing more exhilarating than the day-to-day happenings of any small, rural 19th century American town. But destiny shook this quiet scene with the outbreak of the Civil War. Very few of the local population chose to fight for either side during the war. Most wanted very little to do with the conflict, although the area was, for the most part, loyal to the Union. The war would eventually find this quiet corner of western Maryland in the fall of 1862, when 2 great armies led by Robert E. Lee and George B. McClellan collided here. The Battle of Antietam, or Sharpsburg as it was called in the South, helped change the course of the war, and it was a pivotal point in the history of the United States. On September 17, 1862, 120,000 men battled on this spot and forever altered the status of these ordinary pieces of geography. Both sides fought bitterly for almost 3 hours over Mr. Miller's cornfield, replacing the stands of corn with rows of dead and dying men. The fighting in the woods and the fields around the Dunkard church was so desperate and unrelenting that it decimated entire brigades. The sunken road was a site of such savage and sustained warfare that it was said the dead and wounded men lay in it 4 and 5 deep. The road was rechristened the Bloody Lane. And in the afternoon, Union General Ambrose E. Burnside ordered several ill-advised charges over the Rohrbach Bridge. He eventually captured it, but at the cost of hundreds of lives. It too would be renamed in dubious recognition of General Burnside. The cornfield, Dunkard Church, the Bloody Lane, and Burnside's Bridge were forever immortalized for the human toll that they took. And when the day was over, it would be remembered as the bloodiest day in American history. Over 23,000 Americans became casualties on that day. Of these, over 3,600 were killed, 500 more than the attacks on September 11th, 1,100 more than were killed on D-Day, and 1,200 more than were killed at Pearl Harbor. This is the story of that epic battle and how it still sends ripples through the fabric of American history.